Foreword. This book attempts a systematic foundation for a discipline that has, needless to say, already been signaled and hinted at in the history of thought. A rigorous science of man, but one different. This is its interest and its risk, from both philosophy and the sciences of man, which derive from it. It is also a sort of manual or compendium of arguments for this discipline, whose principal domains and essential modes of description it will strive to cover, at times too briefly. It can be read in two ways, either following only the series of its theorems or following also the explications or the commentaries that accompany each of them. Either way, its reading should be linear and follow the order of the parts as well as the order of the theorems in each part. We could not avoid certain preemptions intended to give a view of the whole and demonstrate, as it is said nowadays, the stakes of the project. But they do not undermine the necessary order of experiences, described here as those of the life of every man. From this point of view, this essay, unlike the minority principle by the same author, finally unfolds in the rigorous order required by the transcendental science of individuals as such. The minority principle is a transitional book, a mixed attempt in the spirit of traditional philosophy to break with that philosophy, and in particular with the author's earlier books. That book was a breakthrough that still proceeded pedagogically and philosophically, that is to say, by means of transcendence, starting from philosophical problematics. Kant, Husserl, Nietzsche, contemporary thinkers, towards a thought of the one or of individuals. The current attempt, by contrast, abandons this process and begins with the one or minorities and draws its conclusions from them. It systematically describes the essence of the domain that still remained something of a promised land or a distant reality in the previous work. Finally, it attempts to reconcile a certain theoretical rigor which is absent, for reasons that will be explained, from even the most rationalist forms of philosophy, with a certain love of human truth that is no less absent from philosophy. The wager is obviously that the two absences share a reason. This reconciliation is a thought that will appear difficult to those who separate theory and affect into two different worlds. The flaws inherent in this sort of enterprise are regrettably well known, and it is pointless to pretend to lament them. Naivety and naive statements, empty agendas, aggressive declarations, successive refusals designed to cordon off a territory, the deliberate omission of all citations, or putatively idle discussions, etc. Not to mention what contemporary thinkers suspect to be the unconscious of a work, a suspicion that is treated here as merely a cunning joy that has nothing to do with the seriousness of the project. There is much to critique in this, but hopefully it does not mask the reality of the enterprise. By contrast, perhaps offense will be taken at the anti philosophical vivacity of this wager, behind which will be imagined to be some disappointed passion or institutional disgrace. It will be said that this in fact is the human, the all too human side of the researcher. Perhaps a certain Cartesian deception will also be memorable enough that the intimacy of the drama will be respected rather than overcome by either the weapons of philosophy or those of the institution.